Welcome to Hive Mind. This is Edge with my co-host Speaker. How you feeling, Speaker?
How's having it?
Oh, nothing much. Just another day in this crazy world.
All right. It's a bit like that.
Yeah, everything's upside down, inside out.
We're just
Yeah,
trying to float.
that's right. Float above it all. So,
Trying.
trying, yeah. Today I thought we would do just a short one where we go over this article and this topic today. The story here about 23andMe now belongs to Richard Branson too. So Richard Branson is taking 23andMe public, which essentially means they're going to be selling the genetic data of about 11 million customers to pretty much anyone who has enough money, like big pharma and big government. And this is just the latest in a long history of user data being farmed by big tech and also now these genetic companies. Are you surprised at all by this, Speaker?
Absolutely not. It's the natural progression. I think they've been playing with DNA for a while, and the more strands they can get, and the more mixtures they can get, the better it is for them.
Yes, many of us have been aware of these companies like 23andMe and Ancestry and what they've been up to for years. But still, millions of people aren't aware of this, and they've been unwittingly submitting their DNA to these companies, which is now being used for who knows what. Does it blow your mind that millions of people have this much trust in these companies?
No, it doesn't. Because humans are just inherently, a lot of us are inherently ignorant. I mean, look how nicely they package this, right? So it's like a nice little Christmas present. Hey, baby, let's go. Let's get our DNA tested to find out where we are. It's a Christmas present. I actually know people that have done that. So,
I know, me too. I personally have friends and people that I know who have gotten DNA tests for Christmas.
yeah, it's
So they submit their information just thinking it's providing them with this service to find out more about their genetics or their ancestry, but many don't realize that they're really actually participating in this massive genetic data harvesting. And it's really creepy to think about. But when you add it to, now Richard Branson owns it. Yeah, the genome you sent to 23andMe now belongs to Richard Branson. That just adds to the creep factor there, doesn't it?
yeah, we can't trust these billionaires. And a lot of people do. I mean, Bill Gates, Richard Branson, they're obviously all in the same club, and they all have this underlining, I don't know, plan. Because
Right.
I mean, you can tell the way they collaborate together, whether, whether it's Bill Gates going buying Fineland or it's, it's a long game here. And I don't think, there's many, if any, benevolent billionaires out there. They're all trying to screw us.
Yeah, it is one big club. And with 23andMe in particular, just adding to that creepy factor of all this big tech overreach, with 23andMe in particular, it's really all in the family because the co-founder of 23andMe and Wachkiki, well, she was married to the co-founder of Google, Sergey Brin, and her sister is Susan Wachkiki, which is the CEO of YouTube. No
Yeah,
coincidence
I
there.
should I've seen a few pictures of that. I should have brought that up, but I don't have it here. But yeah, it's all connected.
Yeah, it is all connected. I mean, this is big tech intrusion, basically in every aspect of our lives, so they can know everything about us, even down to our DNA. And then if you scroll down on this article, Speaker, a little bit, um, and I didn't even realize it. Yep. Oh, here we go. Yeah, it linked to this other article here, which apparently Blackstone which is a private equity firm that I personally have been watching for a while because of various different nefarious connections.
Oh,
But Black,
what nefarious connections?
oh, just people on the boards and connections with other companies, investments that they've been involved in, where it looked like that they had insider information on certain events that
Hmm.
have transpired, all kinds of things. So that's like a whole other podcast to get into.
This this is not even a podcast.
Right. Okay, so, but apparently Blackstone, a private equity firm, has purchased Ancestry recently as well, and it's likely for the same purposes, you know. And then on this article here, I was just reading about it, and it scroll down for me. I just wanted to read a couple of paragraphs. Yeah, so yeah, here we go. Ultimately, there's no specific protections for that data. So you kind of just have to rely on the companies that they're going to honor their promises and not sell off your data to the highest bidder if they go bankrupt or what have you. And then also at the very bottom, ultimately, the multi-billion dollar trading of ancestry between investment companies is another reminder that when you hand over your DNA, you never know who might eventually own it. So there's really no protections here for 23andMe or Ancestry. It just seems like the user's data could be used with very little protections for the users.
And like you said, who knows what they're doing with this? I mean, we can go in the realm of sci-fi and conspiracy, but we know these people are malevolent, and we know just from past history that they're involved in some shady stuff, and definitely genetics and genetic modification, and
Yes.
the creation of whatever they can create with it, or what they're trying to create with it. Who knows what they're doing in laboratories?
Right. I mean, you have to think about this whole transhumanist agenda. We learned with Epstein how very much involved he was in that with genetic research and the whole transhumanist agenda. So I think that many of the people that are in this quote unquote club are have that same agenda. So um, having your genetic information out there for the purposes of being manipulated, researched, with that agenda in mind is a pretty creepy feeling.
And that's
Um,
DNA is like, well, to me, it's one of the most personal things you could give away. I mean, it's everything you are.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Now, if you go over a few tabs to that picture of, no, one to the left there, yeah, this I found interesting. It's really just a pictograph of all the big tech companies and the data that they admit they collect on you. This is not including the data that they don't admit to collecting on you.
Just
But
on the surface.
yeah, when you scroll through it, it's pretty breathtaking when you see. And obviously, as you look here, you can see who the biggest offender is.
Mhm.
Facebook, of course. uh, DARPA's LifeLog Facebook is collecting the most data on you. And really, the users, I think many of them are aware, but many of them aren't aware. But when it comes to big tech companies collecting all this data on us, which I think many people do realize at this point, I don't think they realize that it's reaching to even our health and our genetic data, though. I don't think people realize that.
Where it's got to know. But how, like the question I've got is how, as a society, we become so comfortable with these corporations, mega corporations, having so much information on us. I mean, we gave it away freely.
Yes, we traded it for convenience. For example, let's take like Amazon's Alexa or other products like that. Like we're perfectly okay with our, with our recordings, audio recordings being stored and kept, or with our, for Google example, with all of our internet searches being stored and kept, all of this data being collected on us just for the convenience of being able to use the services that they provide. And I think that's what the trade-off is that we've just become so comfortable with these conveniences that, you know, we overlook the fact that all this data is being harvested on us. And I think that there has been a major focus as of lately, like the biggest thing that they are focusing on lately is the health data. And that's what all these smartwatches are about, and monitoring our biometrics. And you think about Apple, Google, Facebook, Amazon, they all have or are working on smartwatches. And you have to ask yourself, do these companies really care about our health?
Well, no,
Hell,
they don't care about anything. They care
hell no.
they care about our data.
Yes. Yeah. It's sold to us like, oh, look, we're going to help you monitor your health rate, your heart rate, your health, your exercise. But there's no telling what they're actually doing with all this biometric data that they're collecting on their users. And yes, Facebook is the worst about farming user data. We've learned this over the years. They've been busted doing this and selling it off or giving it away, sharing it without users knowing. And now they want to get the smartwatch into the smartwatch business, of course.
I mean, they're in partnerships with these Chinese companies, like legitimate partnerships to sell off your data.
Hmm.
And it's like, how can anyone still use that platform anymore? I know I don't. I'm well off that. I haven't touched Facebook in a long, long time. But it's people don't care. It's a strange world that we live in, and it's very reminiscent of Aldous Huxley's uh, A Brand New World. I think it's pretty sure that's what it's called. Sorry, I'm a bit
Brave
foggy
New
today.
World.
Brave New
Brave,
World.
yeah,
Sorry, I'm a bit foggy
that's
today.
okay.
Glad it got me. I'm glad it got you. Mm.
But I think the whole purpose of this data collection is really twofold. I mean, first, they want to make money off of it, of course. I mean, if they can sell it to big pharma companies, to big government agencies, or other big tech companies, they absolutely will, won't they?
Yeah,
But,
or who knows, whoever else. I
right,
mean, the private sector is very scary too. Who's buying it on the private side? When
right.
it's like someone comes up and offers you a couple of $1 billion for some biometrics, these companies are not going to say no.
Yeah. But also, they're using this data to customize their ad placements to their users because they understand more about their users through this data than even their users may understand about themselves. And they can use that data to manipulate their users into purchasing other products. And so it's very deceptive in that way.
Oh, with that, I mean, how many times have you think you've thought of something or you search something and then all of a sudden it pops up on your Facebook feed and you're like,
Yeah.
I was just talking about socks.
Yeah,
Why is
exactly.
why is there socks on here?
Exactly. It's so creepy. The creep factor is just off the charts. But ultimately, I think it's the knowing every detail about their users, from where they are to what they're doing, what they're thinking, who they're talking to even their health and their DNA. And this information gives big tech and all their partners, whether it's big government, big pharma, you name it. But it gives them all the ability to manipulate and control entire populations and steer them in the direction they want us to go, which is, in my opinion, the biggest threat. to humanity and to free will. And I just don't know that people really see it that way in general.
Well, I don't know if people are going to wake up to it too, but they really should. I mean, I'm never giving my DNA away to anyone. I've got a strictly no robot policy in the house too, so I don't have Alexa.
There you go.
Yeah, strictly
Because
no robots.
people just need to remember that these big tech companies are really data harvesting companies who are just masquerading as social media platforms or genetics companies. And they're out to collect, use, sell, and exploit, ultimately, whatever information you're willing to give them. So that's my 2 cents. We need to cut them out and stop feeding that beast. All right. Well, I guess the bottom line here is we just need to stop giving them our information whenever we possibly can. All right. Well, I guess that's all we had to say about this on 23andMe going public and selling user information. Please leave your comments below. We're interested to hear what you think about this topic. And thanks for listening to us today on HiveMind. Please be sure to share this and check out the link in the description to follow us on our other platforms. To our PayPal and Patreon supporters, we just want to thank you. We appreciate all of you, and we'll see you back next time right here on HiveMind.